Vincenzo here. This is a video about stuff that I remember from the 80s and 90s. And if you're not sure what I'm saying about, there will be some images of every item I mention in this top corner up here somewhere. Alright, starting off at number one is little handheld Tamagotchis. They're basically just little handhelds that have 3 or 4 buttons and you keep a little like pocket monster type thing alive. The second one is a little red handheld game console thing that's like a little LCD screen, a bit like the Tamagotchi. And I've done a video on about it in my little LCD handhelds video that I've done on a previous video. And the next one is the Game & Watch Donkey Kong. That's also in the previous video. Also, who remembers going to Mackie D's or McDonald's, depending on what you call it, and you used to be able to get toys that are made out of plastic? Instead of nowadays, I've noticed they're made out of cardboard and paper, and they just don't seem to look very good. Well, here's a picture up in this corner showing the little toys that you could have got in McDonald's, and I had the one that looks like a weird sort of like transforming portion of chips or French fries, whatever you want to call them. Alright, and the next one is a little weird little rubbery type things that you used to bend inside out and you squish them with your fingers, and you used to put them on the table and you used to pop up in the air and you used to get them with cornflakes. Also, you had like a driving car one where you had like a gear shifter on one side that you drive forward and backwards. I don't know exactly how I remember it actually working. And then you had a steering wheel that you used to steer like left and right like you would do in a car, but it had a weird sort of like backlit sort of screen and it made weird noises. And the next one is the Commodore 64. It's a bit of an old school console. You used to take like cassette tapes, and some versions of it took massive versions of 3.5-inch floppies. I'm not sure what they call the bigger ones. And yeah, you used to like wait like half an hour for them to load, and you get like weird loading screens, and it flickers about the place, and you get like horrible weird colours. And yeah, that's not very nice really, just waiting around all day, and well, not all day, but you know what I mean, like say 20-30 minutes for the game to load. So you used to go outside and play around and wait till it's finished. The next one is the original Game Boy, which I had. And with that I had Tetris, Super Mario Land, Super Mario Land 2, Super Mario Land 3, which is basically the very first version of Wario, which is the evil Mario. And well, yeah, it's classic handheld gaming. It's quite good fun really. I know the console took like 4 AA batteries. It was a bit of a nightmare, but what else are you supposed to do back in those days? No lit screens like the new consoles have got these days, like the Nintendo Switch, for example, the Nintendo DS, and then you had like the PSP, which has a lit screen. But I'm going off on a tangent here. I'm talking about stuff that I should be remembering back in the early 90s and late 80s when I was born. Well, I should say I was born in the early 80s, but you know what I mean. But yeah, stuff that was around in the 80s and 90s. Okay, so the next one is a, trying to think exactly how to actually word this one. It's a bit like the Nerf guns, but it's a bigger version. And it was like designed on the idea of the gun things from Ghostbusters, which was a good TV show back then when I remember watching some of the programs, but not all of them. And yeah, so you had to handle it, you had to push in, and little weird yellow like cartridge like rubberized things used to fly out of them, and we used to have fun like aiming at each other and just having a laugh with them. Alright, the next one are little cush balls. well, if you're not sure exactly what they are and you can't tell what they are by the picture, they were just little weird, like, ball things that used to have like elasticated strands on them. And people used to, well, used to throw them up in the air. And what your parents used to try and get you doing, what my parent did anyway, was telling me to throw them up in the corner. I didn't know why back then, but I used to find it fun. And then I found out he was trying to get me to help me, well, trying to make me do the dusting, which I didn't realise that was that at the time. It's a bit cheeky, really. Okay, the next one is Teddy Ruxpin, which I've still got one today, and I'm going to do a video about it later on sometime. I'm not sure when, but it'll be coming up soon. And then you've got the Tomitronic, which is in another previous video with the LCD handhelds. It's like a pair of binoculars that you put over your eyes and you can see the graphics on the inside. And you have like 3 or 4 styles. You have one like tanks and ones that like race cars and just different styles of ones. But you always had to stand under a light bulb because it's hard to see. The next one is the little troll dolls with the weird pointy uppy hair. It was kind of really weird seeing them back then, but it was all the craze. I know nowadays it's like silly things like LOL dolls and stuff like that, but well, I only know about them because I've got a 14-year-old daughter, which I found out what's happening these days with kids' toys and stuff. But back to the video. Right, the next one is it's a little weird like puppet thing. It's like a turtle puppet that you used to put your hand inside and you can move it around like Gordon the Gopher, if you remember him. And then you had a one that's a bit like Marble Madness, but it was a battery operated one. And you had this little magnetic little ball that when you push the button down, used to pop onto magnets and goes around and goes onto little sliding bits and just goes backwards and forwards and over little bridges and stuff. And that was quite good fun. I wish I kept it now. I might try and see if I can get it sometime in the future to make a video to show you. And yeah, when I was getting a bit older, I ended up getting a portable CD player, which was quite good fun back in the days, actually having music on the go instead of listening to what your parents were listening to. But it was a nightmare. You used to go on the bus to school, you used to shake about, you used to jump and skip. CDs used to scratch hell of a lot easy and just wasn't very good fun. And then after that, you end up getting like the tape player, which I found was even better because you used to just put your CD in your parents' CD player and then put the tape in the tape deck below and record it. And you used to be able to play your tapes on the bus and that while going to school or going to college, which was quite good fun. And then the next one is like stuff you used to get in like cereal boxes. And yeah, one of them is like to do with cornflakes, and you used to get a little reflector thing. If you want to know more about that, type in Ashens and then I'm guessing cornflakes or cereal collectors or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the video is, but I'm gonna see if I can find it and put it in the little description box below. And yeah, he's talking about like stuff that you used to get in like cereals and other things. Right, yeah, and the next one is this weird rocking horse thing that I used to ride on when I used to go and see my doctor because of being autistic. I always used to go for checkups to see how I was progressing through the years and stuff like that. And when I was bored waiting for the doctor or the nurse to come out and see me, I used to go on this little rocking horse thing. It was quite good fun. But yeah, I don't seem to see these sort of like things in the doctor's surgery these days. It seems to be quite boring. Just 1 or 2 slight little toys and not much these days. But I've noticed that things have just got smaller and smaller, and it's just more convenient that the parents seem to bring it these days. Oh yeah, and the next bit of the video is going to be talking about stuff that, or games and other stuff like that I used to play with my cousins when I was younger, because I didn't really have many toys, because, well, I did have quite a few toys, but I didn't really have a lot of toys compared to what the kids have these days, because everything was so, well, probably quite expensive back then, and wasn't so easy to come across and all that sort of stuff. And you never had like the second-hand market, you never had Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that to actually get cheaper stuff for your kids for stuff like that, which I'm saying I don't always do that, but sometimes it does come handy. Alright, now we're on the toys that I used to play with my cousins and other people like that. So the first one was the Talk Boy, which was originally in Home Alone 2, which is like a little tape recorder. You used to press record, but you could change the speeds. So you can joke about and put it on like normal speed and then play it back fast speed, or put it on slow speed and then record and then play it back on normal or fast, so it sounds like a chipmunk, which is quite funny. And then you had the Marble Madness type game, which I think it's called. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's like a bit like the electronic one I was talking about earlier, where you had a little marble and you had to go around a maze and you had to get to the end, and that was also quite good fun. There was no batteries in this one, which was quite good. You never had to worry about your batteries dying and all that sort of stuff. And then the next one is a ring tossing game where you had a big button on the bottom and you used to press it and you had to try and get all the weird little plastic circles to go over the little hooks. Well, it was quite simple back then, which I thought was quite good. And like I say, no batteries back then, it was all like water and pressure powered. And then there's like a bit like an old record player, which unfortunately did take batteries. And you used to put like your different colour records on, and the different ones had different tunes, and yeah, it was quite weird, but it was quite good from younger cousins, because by the time that came, well, by the time I ended up playing that with my cousins, I think I was in second school by then, I can't remember now, but yeah, so. And then the next one is a bit like a weird sort of Polly Pocket thing, but you had a key that went in the back, and you open it up and it opens up like a bit like the old clamshell sort of like mobile phones, that kind of, when you open it up, does that. And yeah, you used to have like a little weird little fuzzy type character in it, if you can see in the top corner up there. And the next one is like a weird like platform that had like a weird spongy blow up ball in the middle of it, and it's like a weird sort of like pogo stick type trampoline type thing, which I'm not sure, can't remember exactly what they call it, but yeah, that was quite good fun. And then, like I say, because I had younger cousins and used to like try and keep them occupied while my auntie and that was busy doing the housework in the kitchen, making food and stuff for everyone, there was this like little telephone thing, and used to put it along, and his eyes used to wobble about the place, and it was quite weird and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, and yeah, it's quite good fun to keep the kids amused. They found it funny for the first few times, but then when they got used to it, they got bored in the end. They just wanted to play with what was playing with. And then one of my cousins had the same as to like the other one that had, like I was talking about, having a key in the back, which you open it up, and this one's like a swan sort of shape, and it opened up like a clamshell again, and you could put stuff inside, and I can't remember exactly what came in it, but yeah, I can remember playing it with my cousin and that, and it was quite good fun. And then a bit later on, my cousins ended up getting the original Nintendo Entertainment System, which was quite good fun. That must have been about 92, 93, I think it was, when I was still playing me Game Boy, and they got the Nintendo, well, the NES I mean, or, yeah, that's it, yeah. And yeah, there's quite a few good games on that. And as you can see in the picture, it had like a gun, a couple of controllers, and you had like one game where you had to kind of shoot ducks at the sky, which was quite good fun. And yeah, end up playing the original Mortal Kombat on it, which I know nowadays Mortal Kombat seems really high tech and looks like real life. But back then, that was really gory for us when I was younger, which is quite weird. What you call gory back then to what you call gory now is quite weird. Oh yeah, and the next one is the Sega Game Gear. And I remember first of all playing that when I went to get my hair cut when I had a lot more hair, which I don't really have much of these days, as you can tell. I do have a bit around the back and sides and a small bit on the top, but I seem to cut it off because there's no point in keeping dribs and drabs of hair all over the place. But back to the hairdressers. When I used to be there waiting around, the hairdresser bloke had the Game Gear like attached to like a chain thing, and it was quite good fun really. We used to play on it and have a bit of fun while I was waiting, and then when it was our turn to go up, we used to then hand it to the next kid, which was quite good fun. Alright, and then we had Tomy Super Cup football, which like you had like looks, as you can tell from the picture up there. Don't know if you're better to make out what's going on, but you had like your football pitch, and inside your football pitch you had little men that used to spin around and had little tracks, a bit like table football in a way. And you used to turn the paddles around to make them spin, and he used to spin around and kick the ball. And well, yeah, that was quite a good game. I wasn't really a fan of football, but I used to play with my cousins just to keep them occupied, and that's what you do when you got family members that like things that you're not really a fan of. Oh yeah, and the next one is a weird like picture viewer thing where you had little cards that goes in the top, and you put them over your eyes. And it's like a camera type thing, and it had little pictures in, and some of them had like animals in, some of them had like landscape pictures in, and some other stuff like that. But I can't remember what was in it again though. But like I said, because it was years ago. And yeah, my cousin used to like that. He used to kind of quite like seeing some of the animals. I think in one or two of them there were like dinosaurs, but I can't remember though. Oh yeah, and the next one is a weird like TV wind up thing. You used to wind it up, and a weird like scrolling picture used to go past. But the way the serrated plastic is, like you had like 2 or 3 images connected together. And it used to make it look like they were walking or whatever it was. I can't remember exactly now, but yeah, my cousin seemed to like that, and yeah, it's quite good for keeping him amused, and sometimes used to help him go to sleep. And then the next one is the Tomy Lights Alive, which is a weird sort of like thing where we had a weird like pen, and one of them looked like a cheese slicey pizza. Hang on, no, it has like a pizza slice thing, and you go across the dots, and you used to like push them in, and when you pushed them in, it created it like so it all lit up, and you could create like funny little pictures and stuff like that, and that was quite good fun. I didn't know exactly what I was doing with it, but yeah, me and my cousins used to like playing on it, and it was okay. Yeah, and the next one is parks. What I remember when I was younger, and the health and safety regulations were a bit different back then to what they are now. And this is like playground parks. If you want to know what I mean about the parks, I'm not about skate parks. I'm on about just general playgrounds. And back when I was younger, health and safety was a bit more slack, which you had massive great big slides, as you were able to see by the picture up there. It's not the exact one that I remember, but the picture's about to change, and as you'll see on this picture that I've changed, I've kind of put lines all over the screen to show what it was like when I was younger, which I've kind of drawn that looked like a canopy that used to be under the slide, which when it was raining and we didn't want to go and get wet, and we wanted to stay out a bit longer and we couldn't be bothered to go back home when it used to rain, we used to sit under it, which was quite good fun. And we used to be there just talking and chatting while I was waiting for the rain to stop. And the parents and my auntie and all that lot used to like it that we was out and keeping ourselves occupied. And yeah, and I know life was a lot easier back then. But okay, now off to the next one. Next one is a set of swings. And yeah, I know it looks quite basic, but what we used to do, if you can see the A-frame on the right hand side that's open, what we used to do is we used to make sure that we used to get people used to swing backwards and forwards on the swings, and we used to try and see if we can run from one end of the swings to the other end of the swings without being hit by the people on the swings. I know it seems a bit dangerous, but back then it wasn't really kind of a thing to us back then. We didn't worry about if we were going to get hit. If we did, we'd just fall over and moan and go, ah, or whatever it was, and then just 5 minutes later just get up and just brush it off and go, oh well, we'll do it again. Okay, yeah, the next one is not exactly how I remember this next one, but I'm going to give you a rough description of what I remember how it looked like. Just imagine the seats being the way they are, and you've got the big handle in the middle the way it is, but the middle bit was like a big sort of ball, and it was around that, and then the seats just connect to the ball. And what it was the handle bit on the top used to spin around my hands like this, and it used to be like a set of waltzers or teacups that you go on in certain theme parks. And yeah, quite good fun. I used to get really dizzy on it, and after a while I used to tell my cousins to stop because I felt a bit sick, but it was still good fun. But like half the time I used to tell them to slow down or can I get off. Okay, yeah, the next one is monkey bars. And the monkey bars were quite good fun. They were quite high, and like I said in the previous bit beforehand with the slide, health and safety wasn't really much of a worry, and you used to better do stuff if it slipped off and hurt yourself. We'd just get up and laugh and just carry on and do it again. And then the one after that is a weird climbing frame, which is like the shape of a helicopter, which was in my local park where I used to live. Well, all these ones are pretty much like the ones from the park where I used to live when I was younger, but they're not exactly the same sort of style, but more or less. And yeah, this helicopter one was quite good fun because in the middle of it, you used to go inside and you could sit inside the front of it and pretend that you were actually flying the helicopter, and you could use your imagination and pretend that you were flying up in the sky and stuff like that. And yeah, imagination when you're younger and you're bored ends up going quite far anyway, and especially when like you wanted to play all night, for example, like games, little handheld games things, and obviously you didn't have any batteries and all that sort of thing, so you were forced to go and play outside. Oh yeah, and the next one is like that rocking horse thing that I was on about when I was back with my doctors, and like this one is like a weird one where you have like 4 or 5 people sitting in a row, and you used to rock it backwards and forwards. And yeah, I've noticed that you don't really see them these days. And yeah, that was quite good fun to go on. There was a few others, but I can't seem to find them because it's quite hard to try and find the old-fashioned rides that, or just say, yeah, rides that used to go on when you was in your playgrounds when you was a kid and other places like that. And yeah, it was really hard to find because like, I've noticed most of them have been either removed or not documented and stuff like that, and it's not very well like kept as a timestamp like from the past to the future, which that's what this video is hoping to do, is to record a history of like what I remember when I was younger to what is like these days without having to worry about people moaning about you can't go out because oh there's weirdos because of the internet and all this sort of stuff. And the internet's made kids and parents more paranoid, which when I was a kid I used to get it all the time, and it was just basically just a general thing. Like if someone said, "Oh, have you got? Do you want to come in my van? I've got sweets or whatever," or "Do you want to come and see my pet snake in that in my house and that?" We just go like, "No," because we don't know who you are, and if they wanted sweets, you just go to the shop and stuff like that. And it was just a bit more of a different way. Like parents used to teach you to say yes and no. But I've noticed with some of the kids these days, if you say, "Oh, do you want this or do you want that?" the kids are like, "Okay," and then you find out a bit later on that no, they don't want it, or they don't mind it, or they just said okay just to be nice to you. Which back when I was a kid, if you didn't want it, you didn't want it. Okay, yeah. The next bit is areas where I used to play when I was younger, and the pictures of the estate where I grew up on. Well, this one is well, it's not exactly how it looks like back then, but this is what it looks like kind of like now. And yeah, where the silver car is, there's a bit more grass there, and we used to like play games there, and used to run around and hide in the blocks of flats and up on the stairs and up where the flat is, where you see the two white vans. We had a friend that used to live up there, and we used to play in there and have a laugh with them. And there's like an area in there, it was all like closed off, and we used to play like football with one or two of the other people. Well, end up playing football with the friends and all that lot, and it's quite good fun really. So yeah, and the next one is a cul-de-sac roughly where my nan used to live when I was younger. And as you see on the right there, you've got the tree and like a well type, like wall type thing. And yeah, it used to sit in there and talk to each other, have a laugh, just after when the ice cream man's been, because he normally used to park where the two drain covers are. And yeah, we used to go in there and talk while eating our ice creams from the ice cream man. And then after that, we used to go, and one of us used to stand over by the signpost roughly in the middle of the picture by the dark blue car, and yeah, we used to stand there and play a game called, well, we used to call it 40-40, but I'm not sure if you guys know it as hide and seek. So what we used to do is we used to start counting there, and people used to hide behind cars. One or two were hiding the little well type thing where the tree is and stuff like that. And yeah, it was quite good fun really. We used to say 40-40, see so and so walking towards the base, and next minute they would start running, and we used to say, okay, now they're running towards the base, and used to be quite cheeky and all that sort of thing. And what we end up doing, we end up walking away from the base and walking off and trying to find people. And then the people that were like hiding in like the tree bit or behind the cars just try and run back. And if we heard footsteps, we had to run back and try and say 40-40 and see so and so run in. And then yeah, and then also in that area we used to play football and all that sort of stuff. And we used to like ride our scooters around there and other stuff like that, and ride our skateboards down the big hill, which you'll see in a minute. And then we used to end up coming down here at the end, and that's quite good fun. And as you're about to see there on the top right, that's like a bit like a women's institute, but it's more designed for men, like a rugby club type thing. And or was it a football club? I can't remember now. And like yeah, that was quite well. I've been in there a few times and didn't really like going there, but yeah, I had no choice at times. So yeah, another little area was to play football, and one of my cousins used to jump up on the building in the middle of the picture and used to climb up there and have a laugh at trying to hide from people. Used to jump out on them, make them jump, and we would kind of like swear at them, which swearing back then was a bit more, well, it wasn't so PC, and you wouldn't come get offended by people saying like the C word or the B word, if you know what I mean, which is not very nice. And then I just see up there, slightly to the right of that building, there's a big sort of block of flats. And what we used to do, we used to go up the block of flats. Obviously, we used to wait for the postman and press the trade button. And then we used to wait for him to leave, and we used to then run in the building. We used to go up the lift to the 12th floor, and then we then took the last floor to the 13th, where there's this grumpy old man. And yeah, we used to kind of creep up there and press the doorbell, and then run down the stairs to the flat, the level below, which is number 12, and then go back down while trying not to get caught by the old man. And quite a few times we used to get caught by the old man, dragged in his place, and then get told off. And he used to give us like a clip round the ear, which was back then, which was quite normal, really. We'd have people used to give their kids a clip round the ear, or when there was none of this, oh, we're going to call social services and all that sort of stuff. And like, yeah, I just don't understand what's happening with the world these days. As you can see on the far left there, there's like a little corner shop, and yeah, we used to go in the corner shop where on the lunch break, which on the slightly to the right of that is a big long building, and that's where I went to school. And we used to go from the school to the corner shop and get like food and that, or we used to go into little cafeteria type place and get like food there and have stuff like that, and it's quite good fun. And as far as I remember, you had like a little area where you used to have like an outdoor pool area and all this sort of. We used to have like swimming and that sort of thing, which was quite good fun. And then you had a big like sports hall, and yeah, and then we had a big playground at the back, and we used to have like football in the back there, and we used to like play tag and stuff like that, or it, if you know it as it. I'm not sure if there's any other names, but we used to like tap someone and say you're it, and then they had to try and run after you to try and get you or another person and say it to them, which then made them it. But the person that was it is no longer it. Then I've got to run away from the bloke or the kid that then ends up being it, and then so on and so forth. And we used to play it like for that for like quite a bit of time until the bell went, and then we had to go into lesson, and there was all sorts of weird sort of like lessons we did. Like we had RE, and I can't remember what the other lessons were, but I think there might have been a bit of science, but I can't remember now. It was ages ago. Where you can see the two people in the middle of the picture, that's like a lake, where on the weekends, me parents and that used to take us there to go and feed the ducks, which was quite good fun. And yeah, I don't recall it actually having this many trees, but yeah, like I said, these are newer pictures, and I remember leaving quite a few years back when I was a teenager, so obviously the 2000s is actually quite new for me, really. I remember leaving in the mid-90s, which is a long time ago. Okay, yeah, like beforehand, this is the double block of flats, which the one on the right is the one with the old man, and the one on the left is not really involving the old man, but yeah, we used to go up and down that one as well, which is quite good fun. And what we used to do as well is we used to in the middle, roughly where the bin area was, because we had like a bin chute that went down for the people, because instead of making them go all the way down to the ground to put the bins down, they had like a chute that you put the bins in, or the bin bags, I mean. And what we used to do is we used to stand where the bin chutes were, and we used to get like water balloons and literally wait for people to walk down below, and we used to drop the water balloons down. We used to get a lot of people, and after time we go, oi! And we was up there like literally running back through the little like door bit through the thing, and then laughing, and then you end up having people coming at the flats and saying, what are you laughing about this for, and can you get out of here, you don't live here. And well, yeah, it's like saying it's quite good fun back then. You used to get away with a lot more, but like saying you used to get clips around the ear holes for doing naughty things from other people. this is the basic layout of the park that I remember when I was a kid. And there's going to be a better view on the next picture, which you're about to see in a second. Okay, yeah, on this view here, where the little slide thing is, well, little climbing frame type thing, that was where the helicopter thing was. And then just behind that, you got a tree. And that's where the horse thing was. And then just behind that, where you've got the little weird red and yellow things, that's where the ginormous great big slide is, or was, I mean. And what else was there? Yeah, and then left of that, where the other tree is, that's where the big swings were, and that's where you used to run backwards and forwards through them. And yeah, it was quite good fun back then, and obviously it was a lot bigger and a lot better. And when you used to fall off the slides, there weren't so many of these spongy type ground things, and it was all like either hard dirt or concrete, and it was quite painful if you fell over and hurt yourself. As you can see in the picture, there's a tunnel, and in the tunnel is like a area for a place called Chart Downs, where that's where we used to go in there and play. We used to have like another park in there, and that's where one or two of my other cousins used to live. And when we went through the other side, which as you see, this is inside the tunnel now, and when you go through the other side of that, it was like the previous picture but on the other side, and we used to climb up the top of that and hide on top. And sometimes we had water balloons and we used to throw them down and wind people up by getting them wet with water balloons, and they used to laugh it off, and it was quite funny and all this sort of thing. And yeah, it was more of a laugh back then, and you used to be able to go at least a mile or even 5 miles away from your parents, where you didn't have to worry about where to go and all that sort of thing. Ending up on the video, the next one after this is going to be either the video of Teddy Ruxpin or my POG collection with a video that promotes POGs. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to do after this one, but yeah, just hoping it's going to be one of them two. Alright, well, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you on the next one.